going to try and see if I can get the display to work better. Help your parents. Tell them to wait in the room. Santos, do you know how to get the Mac to do the right size screen?
The dimensions?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure what dimensions we need to go with for that.
See how over here it ends and there's all this extra screen? And that's
Which
missing.
one to display systems preference?
Yeah, just hit
Yes,
it.
system preferences.
And so you can go display.
Yeah, it seems to be so much more use.
So the default is that one.
Okay, so this only arranges the windows, it doesn't arrange the size, so the back just goes.
So this code is, let me have a look.
Yeah.
And that's up there. And that's up there. And that looks good. Thank you.
That's the next one. There you go.
Okay. One more thing. Sorry, I'm going to take a little while. I just updated all the ISO and settings are broken.
Sorry.
I know, it's terrible.
I was just talking crap about it before you
So I'll be 1 or 2 or 3 minutes. Hi. We haven't started yet. Hi. We've been waiting for you.
They caught someone graffitiing a building.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Right now.
Yep. Asked them if it was any good. They said no.
I know, that was my first question. Like, if it was good, like, let him do more.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
Were they making art? Or were they?
He was like, no, it's just scribbles.
Yes, sir.
Nobody's paying attention to.
No one's paying attention?
What's going on?
Is that Elvis Perkins?
Yeah. Do you know Elvis Perkins?
I don't.
Here we go. Good. So that'll be our meditation to start with, and then we can do the stuff we need to do. So, welcome everybody. We're here on the 4th of 6 classes on the building blocks to enlightenment. Before we start, who really likes doing the refuge and offering? Who really likes it?
I do.
Oh, good. Thank you. Here you go then.
Sashi.
Puki Jishin Metotram Rerolling Shin Yundegam Padi Sangha Shindu Mite Wargi Rokun Namda Shinla Jiparsho Idam Buddhatna Mandala Kamninyatayani
Sangye.
Chudam Zoki Shognam Ha Chanchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsuchi Daki Jinyen Gipe Zonam Ki Trola Panchir Sangye Drupar Sho Chudang Zohi Choknam Nam Janju Bardu Dakni Gyapsu Chi Daki Jinyen Gipe Zonam Ki Trola Panchir Sangye Drupar Sho Chudang Zoki Choknam Ma Janchu Bardu Dakni Gyapsu Chi Daki Jinyen Gipe Zonam Ki Trola Panchir Sangye Drupar Sho. This part is just to catch your motivation of why you're here and invite that state of mind within you that can perceive deeper things in your world to come and be available to you now and teach you. So just ask yourself for a little while why you're here. And obviously we've done the basics of Buddhist philosophy, the three principal paths already, just at a very basic level, and you should have some imprint of what they are. I'm going to ask someone to see if they know what the three principal paths are. Anyone? Renunciation. Now give me an explanation you would give to my mum, who is not a Buddhist, on what renunciation is. That state of mind, something in your mind all the time.
Yeah. When you're sick and tired of the things not working and not being able to understand or do anything about the fact that they don't always work the way you want them to.
That's nice. That's lovely. Good. My mum would be happy with that. She'd be like, yeah, that happened to me all the time. And that's good. So then she'd go, well, now what do I do? You know, what should I take up? If that's what I'm abandoning, what should I take up? What other states of mind? Anyone? To my mum. Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta. let's give it some bodhicitta. She'd get that. ¿Qué es una bodhicitta? She'd go, what is this bodhicitta?
She's from the south.
Yeah, I don't know where she is from. I just made that accent up. So what should you tell my mum?
The wish to become enlightened, the wish to understand, the wish to bring into your life these ideas of karma and what you do affects your life, affects your future, and you can create your own future by having lived your life now.
Awesome. So based on that, no, you're right, things don't work. You got real about it, finally, you're getting some fed up. You can make things work if you understand their true nature, emptiness, karma. Yeah? And you're not the only person undergoing that suffering. So if you're going to fix it for everyone around you too, which is your world. Your world isn't some fuzzy out there place. It's your immediate world. It's your people at work, it's your friends, it's your history. And so you go, okay, so that's good. I can think that I can get out of this for me and my friends. And what's the third state of mind?
Wisdom.
Yep, wisdom, which is a metaphor for a synonym of
Karma.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, karma.
Emptiness. No, that's good.
Knowing what's truly like.
So the wisdom is that things don't have a nature that comes from themselves. This is a big deal, you know, and we say it like that, but to know that, that's a big deal. If that's true, if that's really, really true, then we know why things can change, why they're not staying always a certain way. You know, why a laptop can be used as a table. You know, why a beverage that would give somebody pleasure could be poison to someone else. It doesn't have a nature. The nature comes from our interaction with those things. Our interaction with those things that don't have a nature make those things dependent arising. They arise in dependence to our interaction with them, our projections. And that's how they have a nature. They do have some nature, just not a nature over there. The nature we project onto it without immediate choice. Yeah, like things arise and we don't. It's not like I wish this was Coca-Cola, you know. No wishing is going to make it, unless I have the karma to turn into Coca-Cola. Anyway, so that's ACI 1, the 3 principal paths. So we get that, and then you go, oh, well, I get that feeling that I've got to get some renunciation to make sense of my world if I'm sick of things breaking and not working. And you don't necessarily have to have some kind of tragedy happen to you, although it's good because you wake up. But you could just look around and see your friends and family, you know. If you have a great-grandmother alive, lift up your hand. If you know your great-grandmother's best food, happiest thing she ever did, raise your hand. If you know your grandmother's most fond memory, raise your hand. Good. You're getting close, but that's just one generation away. You came from a long line of many humans before that had full, they were 20 at some point, and they had rich, meaningful life. What happened to them? So today we'll talk about that. So then you go, okay, if all these things that I spend my time getting busy at help me a little bit, but don't ultimately help me, what's real refuge? That's the second course we did, and we've got to think about that. You know, where do I really go for some kind of protection? And I don't mean physical protection, because no physical, people died around the Buddha. You know, his clan his village got murdered around him. He can't protect you like that externally. You know, there's something about, if your world comes from you, understanding that is real protection, and he taught that. So there are some things that if we understand can really protect us from ever falling into a life that produces suffering. So that's ACI 2 principle. And to get there, we have to settle down and investigate our mind, and that's last week's or Tuesdays. Yeah, meditate, settle down, get rid of all the distractions, live a simple life, be satisfied with what you have. Do you have an image for that? Satisfied with what you have? Yeah. Do you have the image from the Lego last week?
I wasn't here Tuesday, but I remember the American Beauty one.
Oh, good.
I have lots of images of lots of Legos.
So me too, I've been dreaming Lego figures, yeah? So this week, today, I want to talk a little bit about, and I tried to change my tactics. There's this topic which doesn't really get taught in the monastery until the geshe degree, because you don't need to, because people just believe that that's obvious. People have past and future lives. They don't go around investigating why it's just an ingrained belief system, like we have ingrained belief systems in our things. So this topic that doesn't get discussed until the 2 years of the geshe degree. So most monks don't even get what you're getting tonight. Yeah? So I'm not so good at it. I've come to some kind of realization through meditation, contemplation, and a lifelong effort to understand them. But this and logic, which are the two main things we're going to talk about tonight, are a different way of looking at the world than what we're used to. So let's see what I can do in a couple of hours. So that's what we're doing tonight. Proof of future lives, and then next week we're going to do karma, cause and effect, and then prajnaparamita. Yeah.
We should get surround sound in here.
We should get surround up just for that slide, right? So before I start, let me just play. Actually, no, let's take this one. Yeah. So we're going to do proof of future lives, and we'll cover why is this idea important, some background about the text and the information, the essence of it, and the how to practice advice, which is what we've been doing all the time. But see if you can hear this little song. Just close your eyes like a meditation and see what happens. If it's not loud enough, we'll get. You said there's speakers here, right?
Right there, you want to plug it
You
in?
can plug it in here if you want.
Sure. Do I need to take this over there?
No, we have a cord. Paul, you wanna plug it in? Is the cord over there?
We're gonna plug in here.
So let's see what happens.
We have an extension.
Let's see what happens if we can hear it. Yeah. Tell me if you can't hear it. Can you hear it? Yeah.
Is that better?
Just close your eyes. Relax.
There's nothing really like French blues, blown by the unknown, soldier you. To all your regrets and your I'll meet you down there when I try. Do you ever wonder where you go when you die? Aliens being known in the sky. Le corridor est couvré complètement de beurre. Les bâtiments, cascades et de zaza voltigeurs. Dans le couloir, je rêve c'est oh, take better care of your heart. And you'll be opening the Swiss bank account. Let go for now, play your part. Oh, you'll be swimming those milk clouds on high. Do you ever wonder where you go when you die? And wheels get down the sky. And do you ever wonder where you go when you die? And wheels get down the sky. Yeah, do you ever wonder where you go when you die? And wheels get down in the sky. And wheels get down the sky. And wheels get down in the sky.
Do you ever wonder? Do you think about it?
All the time.
You do? I used to think about it more when I was a kid. Yeah, I think in a more genuine way. And I think as I got older, I built some structures about my world, and the wondering has become solidified. So, tell me if it's visible. Yeah, it is. We do. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's a little bit, yeah.
Remember that?
The ignorance monster.
Yeah, the ignorance monster. Okay. So why are we going to talk about this? We're talking about past and future lives, or the proof in Eastern philosophy around reincarnation or future lives, and what the hell does that mean? So I just want to have more of a discussion, and I'll cover as much of the topics that are covered in the 12-week course, just as a flavor. But really, it should be a genuine why for you. Well, why is this important, and what can I use it for? And is this idea something I believe, I should investigate, I don't believe? All those answers are good. The Buddhist reason for investigating logic and perception is to prove karma and emptiness, nirvana and enlightenment with logic. Because those things aren't obvious to us. So someone said they got enlightened, I can't. So someone told me they got happy. That's good. I know what happiness means for me, but do I know it? Can I prove it? So understanding Buddhist logic is a prerequisite for understanding the idea of past and future lives. Because with logic, you get to see things that aren't obvious. Things that are obvious for all of us that we share are easy to point to. We'll talk about them. But things that aren't obvious, understanding those, getting well versed in logic and perception are the basis for the proof for reincarnation or the proof for past lives, future lives. Not only that, it will give you some solid grounding to see whether or not these ideas make sense to you and you can use them, rather than going, oh, that sounds good, I'll believe it. The Buddha said, don't believe it because I just said. Because if you believe anybody that just says something, then you have to believe the next bastard that sits here and says, the sky is pink. You know, and then you go, oh, that's nice, I like that. The sky is pink, I see blue, but maybe I'm an idiot, maybe it's pink, you know? So with logic, you can verify some things. So the idea was to get rid of the suffering and the ignorance in order for us to perceive karma, yeah? Cause and effect, understand emptiness, right? Did you like this? This is good.
It's awesome.
And finally, verify with logic that enlightenment is possible, that nirvana is possible, that you can be freed from those things that you have renunciation towards. So renunciation is the fuel because it doesn't stop until a long time from now. But it does stop. It can stop if you understand logic, right? So that's one reason to understand that. And also, the proof that we used here is to refute a whole bunch of ideas that were around at the time, around death, and what happens after death, right?
Like Sigmar's attack.
So what do you think happens after? You know, do you think we go somewhere? You know, do you think you go through some tunnel? Like, really, what do you think?
Is that a mailbox?
Eh?
Is that a mailbox?
Yeah, that's a mailbox. I don't know what that is. Yeah, but you think something, right? Do you ever wonder where you go when you die? You know. So we have stories about going through the white light, and as a friend, I had a friend Evan. I have a friend Evan who's very clever, and I think he could be a Buddha in disguise. But he used to make fun of all those people that had near-death experiences when we were in school. He used to make fun of them and go, you know how they all go towards the light? I think, this was his theory as a teenager, that we turn into moths, right? And then we go towards the light. Yeah. If you don't think that, do you think we just teleport somewhere? Do you think you get pulled out of a body and stuffed into another? You know, what is it that you really think? So the idea for this class is to understand these things and question these things. Make sure my notes are available so I don't miss anything. If you've noticed, if you've done these courses, I try and teach you everything you need for the final exam for the 12 weeks. So if you want to cheat and not do the whole 12 weeks, and you paid attention in this class, you can answer 90% of the quiz correctly. Yeah, hopefully, if you know, except for the Lego part. So here's a little bit of the lineage of the texts that you will find in here. So obviously we have the Buddha, 500 BC, spoke these things. And we'll get a quote from him that becomes the basis for a whole bunch of understanding. Then our great-great-grandfather of logic is Master Dignaga, around 440 AD. And he wrote the compendium on valid perception. So it's not a new thing. I mean, I tried to go and look in Wikipedia to see what we think of consciousness, what happens when we die. How do we perceive? And there's a lot of conflict and a lot of problem. But many of the quotes that we have to live our lives come from the last 100, 150 years, 200 years maybe. And we think that's it. We think that is all that we have to know about valid perception. Humans, you and I, have spent millennia thinking about these things. And there's something to be found in traditions that have survived war and have given peace and have given insights into people. This, I believe, and there's others that are solid tradition to get insight. So Master Dignaga, Indian Pandit, about 440 AD, was the basis of all the Tibetan monastic texts and all the subsequent commentaries on this topic of valid perception. And then Master Dharmakirti wrote a commentary on that. And then Gyaltsab Je, who's Gyaltsab Je? Anybody know? Gyaltsab Je is Tsongkhapa's disciple, great, one of his disciples, right? And he wrote Light on the Path to Freedom. We'll get a couple of quotes. And then we'll have Geshe Wanchuk, Geshe Yeshe Wangchuk, who wrote Jewels of True Thought, and his texts were the basis for Saramay Monastery. He died around the time, he was in Tibet, so he's one of those people that studied in Lhasa and was actually captured by the Chinese, was tortured for years and years and years, and because he was a senior geshe, a reincarnation of someone important, they gave him extra stupid work to do, like clean up poo and all this other stuff. And then after years, like decades in prison, he got out and was able to teach in China and in other places, and was able to go to India. And at some point, when Geshe Michael was teaching these things in 1997, before he taught this class, after he taught this class, Geshe Wangchuk, who's revered in Saramay for his wisdom and his knowledge, mysteriously died in a car accident, and so it's alleged that he was murdered. So this is the spiritual DNA that has come into your heart. These people's lives and sacrifice. So the reason I do the lineage is because these people were born flesh and blood like you and I. And then they listened to some information, and then something happened to them. And then they devoted their lives to understanding more, trying to live it in their context, in their lives, in their century, in their community, in their culture, to help other people around them make sense of these ideas. Just like I know some of you are doing, just a whole bunch of people in our group, in our Sangha are doing. And it's not that there were any different. They had, we have internet to deal with, and Facebook, and buildings and cars. They had other things. They had yaks to trade and political problems between China and Tibet and the West. So let me tell you a little bit of background on the study of logic and perception. It forms the basis, like I said, for this. The Buddha said something, I or someone like myself can judge a person, and he's talking after his realizations, but no normal person should judge another, or he or she will fall. And so this becomes a whole basis for discussion, for understanding, well, how can you get to a point where you can perceive enough things validly to know that I can place a judgment on why a person is doing a certain action, and why is it that some of us can't, shouldn't, or we will fall? What does that mean? So a whole bunch of investigation has gone into those lines. This is meaning there are different levels of reality going on at once. And if you're a Buddha, to wake up, if you've woken up, you get insight, you can see the heart and motivation of others. You get siddhis, you get to read people's minds, etc. So then you know why people are doing certain things, for sure. I can't. I can infer